in IT at a company outside Portland, Oregon. Desk job, 9 to 6 most days. Sometimes longer if there's a server issue or something breaks. Just part of the job. My apartment's about 20 minutes from the office. I usually take Burnside because it's faster. There are a bunch of cafes along that street, but there's one I started stopping at maybe 8 or 9 months ago. The name was The Grindhouse, I think? Not totally sure. It's been a while. Big windows in the front, a few tables inside. Pretty normal, nothing special. I'd stop there after work, around 6 or 7 in the evening. I'd go in and order 2 coffees, both black, 1 medium, 1 large. The thing is, I always drove to work alone. 20-minute drive, no one with me. But I ordered 2 coffees every single time. The guy at the counter probably noticed. He worked most evenings when I came in, younger guy. He never said anything at first, just took my order and made the drinks. This was during winter, late January or early February, I think. It was getting dark early, cold. One day when he handed me the coffees, he said, "You always come in by yourself, but you always get 2 coffees." I didn't think much about it. I just smiled, took the cups, said thanks, and walked out. When you turn right out of the cafe, there's this small patch of grass, kind of like a little park area between the cafe and the next building. There was a homeless guy who sat there. He'd been there since I first started stopping at the cafe. He wore this long coat, too big for him, dirty, brown. His hair was messy. I never really looked at his face that much, honestly. But the coat, I remember. It hung past his knees. We never talked. I didn't know his name, never asked. I just called him Homie. I'd walk over, say, "Hey, Homie," and hand him the coffee. That was it. He'd take it. No nod, no thanks. I'd been doing this for about 6 months. 2 coffees, 1 for me, 1 for him, every workday. One time I tried talking to him. I asked if he was staying warm, asked if he had somewhere to go during the winter. He didn't respond. No nod, nothing. I told him I'd bring him a new coat sometime. He didn't react to that either, just looked at me. I left and went home. That weekend came. Saturday and Sunday off. I usually stayed home on weekends, but Sunday night I was out late, heading back to my apartment. Around 10 or 11. I was driving down Burnside and past the cafe. It was closed. Dark inside. I saw someone sitting in the grass area. Same spot where the homeless guy usually sat. I slowed down and pulled over. Rolled my window down. It was hard to see. The streetlight was behind him. But I could see the code. Same one. I called out. He didn't turn around. Didn't move. It was kind of far. I sat there for a second. Then rolled the window back up and drove home. Monday morning was normal. Drove to work, regular day, nothing strange. After work, I drove back and stopped at the cafe like always. I walked in and the counter guy saw me. Before I even said anything, he said, "2 coffees, right?" I nodded. He made them. I paid, grabbed the cups, and walked out. I turned right toward the grass area. He wasn't there. I stood there for a second and looked around. Nothing. I figured maybe he moved somewhere else. Homeless people move around, it happens. I went home and drank both coffees myself. The next day I went back again. Same time. The counter guy started making my order. I stopped him, told him I only needed 1 coffee now. He didn't ask anything, just nodded and made one. I paid, took the cup, walked outside and got into my car. I sat there for a minute. I just had this feeling I should ask, like I needed to know. So I went back inside. I asked him about the homeless guy, the one who used to sit outside. Told him I hadn't seen him in a couple days, asked if he knew where he went. The guy's face changed. He said, "You mean Jeremy?" I didn't know his name was Jeremy. I just called him Homie. But I said, "Yeah, Jeremy." He said, "He passed away Saturday." I just stood there. Didn't know what to say. He kept talking. Said he didn't know much, just that Jeremy died Saturday morning. I remember that part clearly. I walked out, got in my car, and drove home. I sat in my apartment thinking about what he said. If Jeremy died Saturday morning, then who did I see Sunday night? Wearing that coat. I remember that coat. The next day felt normal, but something felt off. After work, I drove straight home, didn't stop for coffee. It's been about 3 weeks now. I haven't gone back to that cafe. I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person. But I keep thinking about it. About how sure I was it was him. I hope I was wrong. But I know what I saw. I'm Jack, 22 years old. I lived in New York on my own. It's been more than over 4 years now. I got a job in Café near my apartment about 6 months ago. I mostly worked at nights, like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., taking orders, making drinks, wiping down tables, all. The pay wasn't great, but it was walking distance from my place. Monday through Friday, I'd do morning classes, then head to the cafe in the evening. Weekends off. My apartment was small. 1 room, studio. It was on the 3rd floor of this old building on East 9th Street, right between my campus and the cafe. I liked that because I walked everywhere, saved money on the subway. I'd take the same route every time, down that, left on Avenue A, 10 minutes walking distance. I'm not a paranoid person. I don't jump at shadows or believe in ghosts or anything like that, never. My dad's an alcoholic and my parents split up when I was young, so I learned pretty early to keep my head down and deal with things more practically. My mom, she's the one I'm close to. She still lives upstate. I don't see her as much as I should, but I want to. Anyway, the thing happened on a Monday. I remember this because Mondays were always slow, and I'd been texting my friend Jessie all day. We are good friends. She wanted to make plans for the next weekend, some type of party in Brooklyn, more fun, but I was thinking about going home to see my mom instead. It had been a couple months. I was going back and forth in my head what to do. It was around 10 p.m. The cafe was almost empty. Just me behind the counter and maybe 2 people sitting in the back with laptops. An old man came in, thin, pale, wearing this long brown coat that looked too heavy over him. I remembered it because there was this yellow paint stain on his left shoulder, big streak of it, like he'd brushed up against a wet wall. He walked up to the counter and ordered a cappuccino. His voice was quiet, raspy. He didn't make eye contact. I told him it'd be about 10 minutes and you just take a seat. He nodded and sat down. I went back to my phone. Jessie had just sent me another text, something about why I never came out any more often. I started typing a response. I was halfway through explaining that I just wanted to see my mom when suddenly I realized the cappuccino was ready. I looked up. The guy was gone. I checked my phone how long it's been. Maybe 8 minutes, not even the full 10. I figured maybe he got a call or something. Stepped outside. People normally do that. I grabbed the cup and went out the front door to see if he was around. I looked left, then right. The street was empty. Disappeared. No old man, no brown coat. I stood there for a second, confused, then went back inside. Not thinking much. Finished cleaning up. My shift ended at 2 a.m. I leave the cafe and I started walking home. Same route as always, down 9th. About halfway there, I saw the lights. Red and blue flashing against the buildings. Seems like ambulance parked in the street. 2 cop cars. I slowed down. I'm not the type to rubberneck, but I was curious. As I got closer, I saw the car door was still closed. Locked. An EMT was talking to one of the cops. I heard pieces of it as I walked past. The man died in the evening. I glanced at the guy in the car. My jaw dropped. Brown coat. Long. Yellow paint stain on the left shoulder. It was him. stopped walking, just stood there staring. The coat was unmistakable. Same exact stain in the same exact spot. His head was tilted forward, chin against his chest. His one hand were still on the steering wheel. One of the EMTs noticed me staring and waved me off. I didn't say anything. I just kept walking. My legs felt heavy. My brain was trying to work through it. If he'd been dead since 6 or 7 p.m., he couldn't have been in the cafe at 10. That's not possible. But I saw him. I took his order. He sat down. I got back to my apartment and sat on my bed for a long time. I sleep. The next morning when I wake up, I'm in a hurry for my classes, but I go late. I kept running it over in my head. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. Maybe I'd seen someone who looked like him earlier and still trying to figure it out. Maybe the coat was just a common style. No conclusion. I don't remember his face. The thing I remembered is the yellow paint. After class, I went back to the cafe for my shift. I asked my coworker, Danny, if he'd seen an old guy in a brown coat the night before. He said no. He'd been in the back doing dishes most of the night. That week, I started feeling off. It's really hard to explain. Nothing bad happened, but I felt like I was being watched, especially when I walked home at night. I'd be going down Avenue A and I'd get this feeling like someone was right behind me. Very close. I'd turn around and no one's there, it's empty. It happened many times that week, every night, on the same street. One time I stopped walking completely and just stood there, waiting, listening. The street was quiet. Nothing can I hear. But the feeling didn't go away. I started taking a different route home now. I changed my route. It added 15 minutes, but I didn't care. I also started noticing sounds more. Like wind noise, do cracking sounds. Why? Really don't know, because I'm curious. By Friday, I was exhausted. It disturbed my sleep pattern. Couldn't sleep much. Jesse kept texting me asking if I was okay, and I kept saying I was fine, but I knew I wasn't. That weekend, I decided to go home and see my mom, completely sure. I took the train upstate Saturday morning. She was happy to see me. We eat together, couple of question, answer. We sat on the couch and watched TV together. Show, not important. She fell asleep halfway. I stayed up. Back of my mind, I kept thinking about the old man, about the coat. Sunday night, I took the train back to the city, back to my apartment around 10 p.m. I was brushing my teeth when I heard something. Footsteps, noise, slow, deliberate, right outside my door. Suddenly, voice stopped. I stood there with my toothbrush in my mouth, staring at the door. I waited. The footsteps started again, moving away. I spit into the sink but couldn't gather courage to open that door. I stood there for a long time. My heart was pounding. I checked whether the door is completely locked. It's locked. I moved to bed and slept. The next week, I quit the cafe, told my manager I needed to focus on school. He didn't ask much. I still avoided that street. I'm 13. My name's Thomas. I live in Alabama with my dad. Just the two of us, east side of Huntsville. The room is small, but perfect for two. Dad works at Subway, the one off Highway 72 near the gas station. He's been there about 6 years now. Before that, he worked at a gas station, but the Subway pays good. Not great, but we manages. Our house is small, 2 bedrooms with the doors facing each other across a narrow hallway. Bathrooms at the end. I know we don't have a lot of money. I've known that since I was pretty young. While other kids of my age were begging to their parents for Roblox or PlayStation, I was already thinking about how I could help out my dad when I got older. Maybe gets a job, save money. Do not have perfect plan, but I will. We had this one thing that we did every month. We'd go out to eat, always on Fridays, always to the same restaurant about 10 minutes from our house. Small place, not fancy. I really don't know why, neither. And we always ordered the same thing. Chicken parmigiana without garlic bread. Every single time. When I was younger, I didn't think much about it. That was just what we did. But as I got older, neither, I started wondering why. The place is not like the one? No clue. I wanted to ask my dad, but I never did. It felt like it is a weird question. But he always seemed so happy. He'd smile on his face the whole drive home, talk about how good the food was. Agree. I said yes. About 2 years ago, when I was 11, I went to work with my dad on a Friday. I didn't have school that day. Dad said I could sit in the back office, watch TV while he worked his shift. The manager wasn't in that day, so my dad was running the front counter by himself. It was busier than usual, raining pretty hard outside. I sat in the little back office where they kept the employee schedules and the cash safe. There was a small TV on the wall showing the security camera feeds, full of visuals. One for the front counter and everywhere I wasn't really paying attention at first. Something weird I observed, the CCTV whose screen showing the front counter. My dad was sitting there. No customer at that time, but behind him, right behind him, there was a shadow. Not like a normal shadow from the overhead lights. This one was shaped like a person, like someone was over his shoulder. When I looked at the wider angle, there was no one there. The counter was empty except for my dad. I stared at it for a while. Don't know exactly what it was. Thought maybe it was a smudge on the camera. Then the front door opened and a delivery guy came in holding a plastic bag. I could see the same not-so-fancy logo where we used to go on every Friday. My dad waved to me. I came. He seemed surprised. Chicken parmigiana. Same thing we always ordered. We ate it during his lunch break. He kept saying how good it was. Flat off cues at that time. Only thing I have in mind, shadow on the screen. That night I almost asked him about it. About why we always went to the same place. Not about the shadow, but I didn't. I just didn't. Life went on. The routine continued. Every Friday in a month, we'd go to there, order the same thing. My dad would smile while driving on the way home. I got used to it again. The question faded into the background, but it never fully went away. Last month, so just a few weeks ago, my dad and I were planning a camping trip. It's Dad's plan. We were going to leave on a Friday evening after his shift. I went to the subway again. All our camping gear was already packed in the truck. I was sitting in the same back room talking to one of his coworkers. Ray is the name. He was older. He'd worked there a long time. He was friendly. Asked me about school stuff. We were just making small talk, and I mentioned, I don't even know why, that my dad and I always went to one place, filling the silence. Ray's face changed. He got this look. Not scared exactly, more like uncomfortable. He said, Victor used to do that too. I didn't know who Victor was. I asked. Ray leaned back in his chair. He said Victor used to work here. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. Victor worked the cash counter, same position my dad has now. Ray said Victor had this routine. Every Friday he'd bring in food from Marcello's for the staff. The place name is Marcello's. Chicken parmigiana. He'd pass it out and tell everyone to try it. Tell him what they thought. And everyone would say it was great because it was. But I don't like it. Victor loved hearing that. He'd smile and nod and say he knew they'd like it. Then one Friday, Victor didn't show up for work. No info. We tried reaching him, but his phone was disconnected. His apartment was cleared out. Nothing. The owner filed a missing person report. Police looked into it, but there were no leads. No family to contact. Victor just vanished, like never existed. Ray said the weirdest part was that the week before he disappeared, Victor had been talking about Marcello's non-stop, about how he'd found the perfect dish, about how everyone needed to try it. I sat there listening. Now, same thing my dad had been ordering for years. Every month on Friday. I thought about the shadow on the security feed. The one I'd seen standing behind my dad 2 years ago. Ray kept talking, but I wasn't really hearing him anymore. I am confused. My dad called from the front, said his shift was over, time to go. I got up and followed him out to the truck. We drove to the campsite. It took about an hour. We set up the tent, started a fire. My dad was in a good mood. Kept saying how nice it was to get away, how we should do this more often. I barely said anything the whole night. I didn't ask him about Victor. Why no answer for me? We got back on Sunday night. I rushed to bed. I need some time. Everything went back to normal, but I can't stop thinking about it. My dad doing the same thing, every Friday, for years. About the shadow I saw on the security feed that day, I can't picture it clearly anymore. Only remember the shape, nothing more. Maybe my dad just really likes the food. No clue. Or it's just a coincidence. Victor, I don't want to remember bad memory. Like Victor, I want this to disappear. No one knows what happened to him. Never will. We're going to that place again this Friday. My dad mentioned it this morning. I said yeah, but I don't think. But today, I'm not going to eat. Just watching my dad. See if he notices.